and welcome to Framed
Canvas, Cuffs, and
Other Stuffs. This podcast is about crime.
And art.
And our crime.
Wake up. Pay attention.
We've got art.
And it's juicy.
Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back.
2 in 1 day.
I know, we did 2. Look at us go. We're all energized.
Real energized. We're really kicking goals.
I've had 3 Maconas. Can you believe it?
She's off the rails. All right, let's start this episode again.
Yeah.
Please refer to our Drag Race Minute for all of our recommendations.
We really got carried away on that one.
We really did, and I loved it.
Yeah, same.
We were talking about a particular artist. So obviously we'll start there. What do you know about the Scream, Joel?
I know it's a screaming face.
Oh.
On a bridge, perhaps. Trying to remember in my head what it is.
Yeah, you got it.
Lots of swirls.
A lot of swirls.
Kind of looks like the Scream mask from the movie. It's like a genderless, bald blob that's really terrified.
Yeah, 100%.
Is there something behind them? Are they just having a scream?
They're just having a scream.
Yeah, right. Sometimes you just got to let it out.
You really do.
On Dutch.
It's one of the most recognizable pieces of art in history. Mainly as well, I think it became more and more popular because it's been referenced so many times in like pop culture.
If you hear some background crunching, that's just the little puppy dogs having a biscuit.
They're having a biscuit break. Yeah. They deserve a little morning tea too.
Yeah. Let's
talk a little bit about the artwork and the artist before we jump into this crime.
Yeah.
Edvard, it's spelt it's Edvard Munch, but it's like spelt Scandi. So E-D-V-A-R-D, just to be very specific.
E-D-V-A-R-D. Edvard.
Is a Norwegian artist from the late 19th and early 20th century, born in 1863. He had a really tumultuous upbringing. His mother and sister died quite early in his life, and he references women quite a bit in his like works, but it's always women like kind of like sucking out your soul. Like it's almost like he put
Banshee vibes.
Yeah, it's almost like he put succubus. Women are succubus. It's almost like him losing his mother and sister really made them like the pinnacle. He put them on a pedestal, and then every other woman after that, like just in his life, couldn't compare. It's like that kind of vibe.
Dangerous thought process.
Yeah, it is. He really wanted to become an artist, but his dad said, no, you will become an engineer. And he said, no, I won't. I'm going back to art.
Classic
dad.
I feel like there are a lot of dads still doing that these days.
Yeah, 100%.
Not going to VCA.
You're going to become a lawyer. He really pushed the bounds of like what color should be used, what symbolism should be used in works. Very much at the time, because he was ahead of his time, he faced a lot of criticism because obviously he was pushing the boundaries and people said, you can't be drawing like that. He suffered a lot with...
People really didn't like people going outside the box in those days, did they?
No.
It really caused an uproar.
If you're not painting God, then what are you painting?
I loved painting God and Jesus.
They really... And Madonna,
yes.
Which one? Want to make an ageist joke about Madonna this time, Joel? He obviously painted the Scream. It's actually called the Skrik because it's translated into the Scream, but it's called the Skrik.
Is that the Nordic?
The Nordic word for scream, I guess.
Right.
It is one of his most haunting and iconic paintings.
I just had a thought.
Yeah.
Is the actual Scream mask in the film meant to be the Scream from the Scream?
Yep. Sure is.
Oh my God.
Your whole life just went.
Mind blown.
Your whole mind just went,
shit.
Oh, shit.
I gotta make some calls.
Do people know about this? I gotta tell someone. Alert the media. It was actually so the Scream is one of 4 versions. So there's 4 versions of the Scream in the world.
Oh.
which is they're all slightly different, but it kind of shows his obsession with this kind of thought process.
So he did 4 versions of it.
He did 4 versions. So
he's like Taylor Swift.
yeah, he's like, how many versions do you want to buy? I've got to make some money
Taylor's
here.
version.
Capitalist society. So he did 4 versions. There's 2 that are painted and there's 2 that are in pastel.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's, and I believe there are 2 that are owned by like galleries that are to the public. One is owned privately, and I'm not sure about the 4th one. Sorry, guys. Don't have that fact for you.
I'm so sorry.
So sorry. Google it. It's what it's for. It's his most fascinating painting because it's all about anxiety, and I
get that from that painting.
From that painting, a lot of people believe it's about his own feelings around like his depression and mental illness. So he was struggling with that stuff, but obviously at the time it's not really known about, so he's putting it all into his painting.
Yeah.
It's obviously got numerous interpretations and theories. A lot of people think that the background is the volcanic eruption of Krakatoa.
Oh.
Yeah, so a lot of people think that's what the sky looked like when that happened. So that's the kind of sky that he used. It's like red. It's, you know, he kind of reimagined what it would have like felt like at the time.
Is Krakatoa the Pompeii one? No.
No, it's
different.
Different, I think.
Yeah.
That I know of.
Yeah, we'll check with our team. We'll check with our team.
The research team will get on that.
Yeah.
So it's
the monkeys with typewriters out the back.
His sister had severe mental health problems as well. She was classed as at the time a lunatic and was put into a lunatic asylum.
Oh, of course, yeah. If you had feelings as a female back then, you were immediately dubbed as being hysterical.
Yes, they were like put her in a ward because
I'm a bit grumpy today. She's got hysteria.
Oh, my period's really playing with my emotions.
Period.
Get her away from us.
Witch.
Witch burner.
She's going to attract bears.
So there's 2 in pastel, 2 in paint. It's interesting that they're painted on cardboard.
Really?
Yeah, it's really interesting, and that was an artistic choice by him, not just I'm trying to scrounge up things. It was like he chose to paint on cardboard a lot of the time.
Like cardboard box cardboard.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I think because it really showed different texture, and that's what he was playing with at the time.
Yeah.
He was, being a bit non-conventional. Created in 1893.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of classed as the way that he could capture the essence of the human condition in just like one way. And apparently when you see it in real life, it is like eons above like what you see in print because it's just got so much like it's almost like it carries.
You can see the textures and stuff.
And apparently it just like carries a bit of your soul. Like it's almost like, a lot of the time when you see a masterpiece, it like gives you a feeling. Apparently the feeling that you get when you see it is just like,
I've never had that ever. No, I'm kidding. There are some pieces that I just look at and you get a visceral, emotional feeling from it. And I feel like if I saw the Scream IRL, I would probably get some kind of emotion from it. So it was never explained whether it was Krakatoa in the background or anything like that? You didn't tell anyone what it was?
You know what? Artists back then, they're not telling their secrets.
Yeah,
they're taking them to the grave.
Yes.
And no one actually knows like, who is it? Like, is it him being represented? Is it his sister? You're right.
It's ambiguous.
It's ambiguous. It's genderless. It's almost like he's really trying to make you go, this is an emotion, not necessarily a person.
Yeah.
At the time, people were painting portraits and they'd be like, this is this person.
He's
like, no, this is a feeling and I'm trying to encapsulate that.
Ooh, full body chills.
Ooh.
He really, I completely get that.
Yeah, so it's a poignant symbol of anxiety, existential angst.
Yeah.
And it really was at the time at the forefront of what he was doing. We're going to double down today. There are 2 heists happening.
Oh, well, he had 4 pieces.
He had 4 pieces. You got to steal at least 2 of them.
Yeah.
50-50. The first heist, so it got stolen once in 1994 and it got stolen again in 2004, but they were 2 different ones.
Had a pretty good run before then.
Yeah, it was doing all right. No one was really going in and stealing at that time. So we're going to talk briefly about the 2004 heist because there's not a lot known about it.
Okay.
And then we'll jump into the 1994 heist because there is much more detail around that one.
Interesting, because 2004 we had a lot more technology to be able to find out things. And then why do we know so much about the 1994 one instead? I can't wait to
see how this turns out. It's 2004. It's broad daylight. The Scream was stolen in the... just as it walks out. It was stolen pure daylight. Like, come on. This is like just balls to the walls ambitious. It was at the Munch Museum in Oslo. Some armed thieves stormed the museum on August 22nd. Stormed. They literally walked in with some guns and said, and they just said, hey, we're taking these paintings. And everyone was like,
full on heist mode.
Heist mode. No. And the gallery was open to the public. So there was people just looking at paintings and all of a sudden these men storm in and take these paintings because they had machine guns. So they were just we're going for it.
Here you go.
So they stole the Scream and they stole another piece which was called the Madonna, same artist. You know, Madonna, she's always around.
Yeah.
There is very little known on it. So after about 2 years, the paintings were both like recovered in 2006.
Both of them?
Both of them were recovered. There's only slight damage to them. They put them back on display after they'd been, because so they said these have damage on them. They're quite easy to restore. We'll be able to do it. But they put them on display being damaged for the first few years so people could see what had happened.
What had happened and the story behind it.
Yeah, but then they eventually, so now I believe they've been fully restored so you wouldn't even know.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think...
I kind of want to see the damaged parts.
Yeah, I think so too.
It adds to the story of the piece.
That's what I think.
You see more of its like history.
Yeah. 6 men went to trial for this case, but honestly, not a lot is known. Like they kept it very hush-hush. So the police obviously had some kind of investigation they were doing and just kind of whether they got some kind of information from these criminals to, you know, it's all a bargaining chip when you steal art like that. So I assume it's probably come up in a case and they've gone, all right, we'll trade you in like these paintings for a lesser sentence or to keep you out of the public eye, that kind of thing. And honestly, that's all we have to go off. But there is one photo which I will show. Someone had like a little digicamera on the day of the heist and they saw these people leaving the gallery with the painting and it is such a silly, like you just see
it's the Hamburglar.
Honestly, that's what it looks like. It's just two guys
oh my God,
running away with a painting.
So cash, just broad daylight. Wow. Holding two of the most famous
paintings.
Just carrying them across a little grassy knoll. That's so ballsy.
It really is. So obviously they had someone in the getaway car, two of the guys, I think it's probably criminal ties, allegedly.
They can't man their machine guns if they're carrying paintings. Why didn't they stop them?
I don't know. Look, we all know at this point, galleries, what are they doing?
Also, these stop signs are confusing because they're blue in the background and then they've got a red stop sign going across them. If you're colorblind, that'd be really confusing. You wouldn't know what to do. Anyway.
The road rules with Joel. So that's our first little heist. So this has happened a few years after. Let's go back to 1994 because this is where it really heats up.
Smells like teen spirit.
It really does. Put your detective gear on. I'm going to give you 3 suspects, but let's start. It's 1994. Oslo is buzzing with excitement because the Winter Olympics is about to kick off.
Woohoo.
Woo! It's drawing tourists from all over the world to Norway's snowy paradise. Nils Messel is the National Gallery curator and he's really excited because he's like, this is our chance to really show off what we've got.
All eyes are on us.
All eyes are on us and I'm going to make some money. Said, I'm going to capture and showcase Norway's rich cultural heritage and I'm going to highlight Munch. It's probably just said Munch, but I'm just saying Munch.
No, I feel like it's Munch.
Munch.
And
he put on a show specifically which featured obviously the masterpiece.
Because you say Munchhausens.
By proxy.
So
it's clearly named.
I feel like it would be Munch. Does it have 2 little dots above the U?
No.
Oh.
But we can
I don't think it's Munch.
I don't think it's Munch.
Nah.
We'll say Munch.
Okay.
And you know what? Let us know in the comments.
So scream into the void what it is.
In a bid to impress the influx of visitors, he decides to move the scream to a prime spot right near the entrance. So he moves it from the top floor that it was in down to the first floor, which would make things a whole lot easier for a couple of daring thieves. Late one night, whilst the city is all abuzz with the Winter Olympics opening, we've got some, cute happenings happening there.
Jamaican bobsled team is in town.
They have a bobsled team, they're ready to go. They've
cool
got
runnings.
Anybody cool runnings?
Do you know that really happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was based on a true story. Yeah.
I mean,
I thought it was just made up for the movie, but it was like a real thing.
I mean, I feel like there were some aspects that were made up.
We've got a bobsled team.
That really was a movie that they always put on when you were like traveling on the bus to go to somewhere for like school camp or something.
Oh,
that was the movie.
I had it on VHS, so I watched it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great movie from recollection.
I mean, we could probably watch it now and
say that did not age well, but you know what? It was great at the time.
Yeah.
With a timer ticking on their watches, these guys place a ladder against the side of the National Gallery, climb up to the first window. At the time, one of them loses their footing, tumbles down, but manages to make it back up again.
What a goose.
What a goose. Silly goose. Quickly scrambles back up. They reach the top. They smash the window. They see the scream, and in a swift move, they pull it off the wall and run down their little ladder and into the night. The entire heist takes a mere 50 seconds to pull off.
Wow.
That's a lot. That's not a lot of time.
I feel like they were just like scrappy. They just did it. They just got it, ran.
Yeah.
Like sometimes that's just how you have to do it.
Yeah. All that is left behind is a taunting message that says, "Thank you for your bad security."
Ooh, shady.
Shady.
Ooh, I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's a bit like, you suckers.
Yeah. That's camp. I like the,
Yeah, it's very.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, I love a little calling card.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the thief or thieves drive for a few hours before handing off the painting to an unknown accomplice.
It's like something Catwoman would do.
Steal a painting or
I
leave
feel
a
like
calling
she did
card?
things like that. She like stole diamonds and stuff.
Yeah, she's maybe
like leaves a little calling card with like a little kiss on it.
And she goes, "Meow, meow, motherfuckers."
Meow, meow.
Obviously, the heist is perfectly timed with the opening night of the Winter Olympics because it makes security less because everyone's eyes are on that big event and no one's eyes are on this gallery.
Yep.
The day after, our friend, Mr. Nils Messer, strolls past. He's like, "Oh, there's a ladder propped up against the wall. What's going on here?" He said, he looked up. At first, there's like an interview with him, and at first he's like, "I thought some cleaners maybe were cleaning the window."
Well,
maybe. And then he realizes that the glass is broken. He's like, "I saw the curtains kind of billowing out," and he realized something was wrong.
Right.
He quickly runs in, and there is a policeman standing there, and he realizes the scream is missing. He looks at the wall and he goes, "Oh no, let's sound the alarms because this is what everyone is coming to see. If they're not at the Olympics, they're coming to see this piece of work, and we need to find it, and we need to find it quickly."
Shouldn't have put it at the start, put it as the end, as the big payoff.
I know. What was he doing? Panic sets in, calls are made, alarms blare, and the press gears up to break the shocking news. Norway's Mona Lisa has been stolen.
Oh, Norway's Mona Lisa.
I know. It's 1994, so the assistant deputy of police is Mr. Leaf.
Mm-hmm.
I believe his name's like something like Leaf
Blower.
Leaf Blower? Yes, that's it. Really trying to quickly put a case together and looks at the 18 security monitors. Pretty much the footage is useless because the CCTV quality is abysmal. But you can see there's video footage. You can go online and see it right now of that. You can see.
You can actually
watch them like climbing up and then climbing away with the painting.
Oh.
And there's at one point where they accidentally, as they're climbing down the ladder, they kind of like drop the painting and everyone's like, "Oh shit, this masterpiece is getting ruined."
Oh no.
It's really just like,
oh, I'm going to have to watch that.
because it's so grainy and it's so bad. But it's just like two guys climbing up a window and dropping this painting. It's
Wow.
wild. The fear of it being burned or held for ransom really is like, that's what they think is going to happen.
Yeah.
Over the next few days, the
Fear of it being burned?
yeah, so because it's on cardboard, they think that they're just going to burn it.
Oh.
Because it would be so, well, you could burn a canvas as well, but they think that because it's just random, they think that they're just doing it to destroy.
To cause disruption.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'cause
instead of holding it hostage for money.
Yeah, so they think it's either going to be ransom or.
Oh, that's so nasty if they burnt
Yeah, like, come on, guys.
it. Yeah. I'm just remembering now that there are 4 of them. So
Yeah.
maybe one can be burnt.
Maybe one can be burnt. So over the next few days, the police chased down several leads. The National Gallery had been robbed before. Very similar. Someone had scaled a wall, broken a window, and snatched another piece by Munch, which was called The Vampire. So
Ooh.
there has been 2 heists on this gallery. They're 2 very similar MOs, but one was the Scream and one was the Vampire.
What does a vampire look like?
Very much like this woman sucking the side of this guy's neck. Like,
Cool.
really, like, it's history repeating itself. And at this point, I'm like, guys, come on. It's happened once and it's literally happening again.
Yeah, put your
What
guard up a little.
Yeah, come on, guys. Change the glass.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a few of our suspects.
Ooh, okay. This is for the 1994 one.
This is the 1994. Yep. First, a suspect is Paul. He's a former pro wrestler pro footballer, not pro wrestler.
Oh, okay.
My
Still.
bad. And when I say football, I mean
Soccer.
soccer. So he's a former pro footballer who traded the pitch for a life of petty crime. He's not shy about the spotlight either. He loves a bit of an ego trip.
Okay.
And he's kind of known in the world of, like, I guess, Oslo. He's just a bit of a criminal. But they've never really pinned much on him.
Was he like low-key loving being a criminal?
Yeah, I think
for the attention.
Yeah, I think he's like a very like egotistical person.
Right.
The next suspect is an anti-abortion group.
Oh, okay.
A few days after the theft, a Norwegian anti-abortion group made a bold announcement, and they claimed they could return the Scream if the Norwegian television agreed to air an anti-abortion film.
It's a weird way to go about getting your
film
awful
show.
Propaganda out there.
Yeah, police had to investigate this lead because they said, well, if you can get us the painting back, maybe we will show the film.
Don't think it was them, because once everything comes to light, that makes anti-abortion, they're making themselves look bad to begin with.
Yeah, very true.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
But also them committing a crime to put their ad on TV. Eventually that will come out in the media that this anti-abortion place did this, thus giving them a bad reputation, but worse reputation.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
I like your,
sense.
You know what? I like your thought process.
Okay.
And then the last suspect is the Bandidos motorcycle pop.
Oh, cool.
We know that criminals love to steal art because it's a really good bargaining chip.
Yes.
So it was thought that maybe that this group were being smart in taking these really famous works, especially when all eyes are on them.
Mm-hmm.
A known criminal points fingers at the club saying, you know, they've stolen this masterpiece for cash or a bargaining chip. It's got this underworld element. It's, you know, high profile heist. So it's a who's who of Norwegian crime bosses. They're doing their little part. That's the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts and feelings so far?
My mind goes to the bikie gang. It could go. It could go towards first football player or the bikie gang. I more veer towards the bikie gang because the way that they went about getting it was a little bit slapdash, scrappy. They didn't really give a shit. They'd like put up a ladder, broke in, took it, left a like cheeky little note, which I feel like they would do.
Yeah.
There wasn't much like finesse behind it.
Yeah.
If you're going to steal an art piece, you would kind of think really hard about it because like you'd be so terrified of getting caught. So you'd like, you know, weave your way around it.
Yeah, you'd be
whereas a biker gang, I feel like would be a bit more like,
we're going to break in.
Let's just go do it.
Yeah, let's just let's just get what we need to get and get it done.
I feel like that the reasoning of them using it as a bargaining thing makes the most sense.
Yeah.
I still think the burning of it just to burn it and be, a badass. I struggle to believe that anyone would do that. Like you steal art to
gain
money.
Something. Yeah, to either gain money
something.
or to gain a bargaining chip.
Yeah.
We go back to Anne Mistrander. She's a sharp-eyed detective from the Theft Squad.
Theft Squad.
She's sitting at home. She's watching the news. She sees the TV and she goes, well, I'm about to get some work. This is right up my alley. She narrows her eyes because she recognizes the handiwork of this kind of, or the MO of this particular criminal. And she realizes that criminal.
Oh,
she realizes that this could be only done by one man, Pal Enger.
Football man.
Hey, football
He was
head.
my second option.
She's like, look, whether he's behind it, whether he's got he's got a finger in a pie somewhere, because she said, I don't know if that was.
Pardon?
Woo. She said, I don't know how he was involved, but I know him well enough that he must be involved one way or another.
Does he leave cheeky little cards?
Maybe. Or maybe he's been in this situation before.
Okay.
Paul was, from an early age, he was a passionate football player. He really loved playing football with his friends, but he was also like doing some like petty crime in his youth.
Yeah,
He was
rough.
He was
wrong side of the tracks.
Wrong side of the tracks. He was, shoplifting chocolate, and he started to escalate. Those petty crimes started to escalate until he started doing like full-blown robberies, targeting shops, banks, but never homes. He said, I won't rob your home because it's too personal.
Aw.
I know. What
sweet.
Heart of gold. So he was well-liked and charismatic. A lot of people who were interviewed about him at the time, they were like, we knew he was a criminal, but he was...
so charming.
Yeah, he was just so charming, and he wasn't known for violence. He said in his 20s he'd done enough that he had everything that he wanted. Like he had money, he had a business, he was kind of set up, but he craved something more.
Why am I falling for him? Why am I falling in love with him? Why am I getting horny?
Well, maybe if I showed you a photo.
Football crime man.
Football crime man. When I show you a photo, maybe not.
Nah. You'd be surprised, Steph. I cast my net pretty wide.
This is him now. This was not him at the time.
He's a handsome child. He would have been handsome back in the day. He's still handsome as a... Oh, man. Yeah, I would lay with him.
Call him up.
Why is he in a photo with the screen?
I think his ego is really going to come into play.
He does have hooligan vibes, though.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
Yeah, he's got this kind of like cheeky guy attitude.
Yeah. Like a Conor McGregor type.
Yes.
But with crime.
With crime.
Yeah.
He's craving something more, and he's like, I'm going to hatch a plan and I'm going to steal the scream. He's pretty much his whole life of crime up until now has been pretty, slapdash.
Yeah.
So he's like, cool. He went and kind of looked around the museum, found where the scream was in the museum. This is pre-1994. So this is, maybe 10 years, a little bit less before. And he goes, cool, I'm going to steal a scream. He counted how many pillars and windows there were to like get to the window that was next to the scream.
Yeah.
And he's like, cool, I'm going to break that window. I'm going to get the painting and I'm going to leave. On the first attempt, he jumps up, breaks the window, snatches the painting, gets down to the bottom, looks at the painting and realizes it's the vampire and not the scream.
Oh.
Yeah. So he was one window off the real target.
Oh, the goose. He's
silly goose. He was like, well, I've got to take this painting now because I've snatched it off the wall. So he takes the vampire.
Is the vampire done by the same artist? Yeah.
Still by
Munch.
He takes the painting, and at the time, throughout his whole career, he owns this snooker club. He hid the painting in the ceiling, and he said the best part about it was that so during the week, the police would come in and play snooker and pool at his facility.
And he'd be like,
he's like, you're playing right under my...
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that got him off.
Yeah, it really did. He was edging somewhat. He keeps it up there for a while. Then he starts getting a little bit like, well, I'm going to hang it in my bar. And so he'd bring it down from the ceiling, hang it up, they'd all have a laugh, and then he'd put it back up.
Yeah.
At just 21, after all of this, he says, well, something happens. Someone starts talking and snitching on him, and he's like, look, I've got to hand it in. I'll go to jail. I'll do my time. So he actually goes to jail for a few years.
So he would have told people?
Yeah.
As well?
Oh, yeah. He's very that type. He's telling people about this because he wants people to know.
Yeah.
He wants people to know what he did.
He's badass.
Goes to jail, but while he's in jail, he starts hatching the plan that he's going to steal the actual Scream. He's like, I'm not done yet.
Got an insatiable appetite.
He's like, I must have this painting. Done this once before, Joel, and we kind of know somewhat of what he's done. What would be your things that you would do in jail? Like, what would you be thinking about? What are you researching? What are you doing to kind of make sure that this next time that you try and steal this painting, it's correct?
Well, I don't really know. I don't know what resources you'd have in jail to work with.
Yeah, I feel like he's pretty connected. He's a man of crime.
Yeah. And people in the jail, I reckon he would have been really popular. People would have known him.
Yep.
He gets people to help him that he's in the clink with.
Yeah.
But all he needs to do is go one window over. So he could just essentially do the same thing as he did last time.
Yeah. He really, when you hear him talk about it, he really makes it sound like he was trying to plan the perfect crime. But really, he kind of just does the same thing as he did before.
Yeah.
He has this intention of stealing the Scream, and really it becomes apparent that it's just a revenge type thing. But like, who are you getting revenge on? Because the police stopped you because you stole a painting in the first place. His one non-negotiable for this was like, I will leave a postcard at the scene of the crime taunting the police saying thanks for the bad security.
Maybe he just hates authority.
When he gets out of jail, he starts to watch the museum. There's a bookshop over the road. He sets himself up kind of like in their, so he must have known someone in this bookshop because he sets himself up in their like on their roof and just watches what's going on in the gallery. He realizes that, so he goes and checks the windows because he thought after the first heist that the museum would change the windows to bulletproof glass because you can't really break it.
Yeah, you'd think that. But
we know.
As we know from museums,
they're not doing much to upgrade security. No. He said all he did was he got a teaspoon, went up to a window, tapped it, and he was like, I could tell that it would easily break just from the teaspoon, so I knew I could break the windows again.
That is so smart.
It's so silly. It's so simple, but so smart. He also set up a storage locker to see how long it would take to put the ladder up, walk in and rip the painting off the wall. So he got it down to 90 seconds. It was interesting because he realized when he got out of jail, he's like, I can't actually do this crime myself. I've got to get someone to do it for me.
Okay.
Because he owned this snooker bar, he knew people who were criminals. So he said to this guy, William, he said, hey, I've got a job for you, mate.
Another hooligan.
Yeah.
Oi.
And he said, would you be interested? I'll give you cash, straight up cash, if you could perform this heist for me.
Yeah.
He said he was very skeptical about doing this because the last time he got people involved, snitches appeared.
Yeah.
But he said, I knew I could trust this guy and I'm going to start teaching him everything I know because this guy couldn't drive.
Oh.
So he had to teach him how to drive. He had to teach him how to break a window properly, how to, how to cut a painting off
a different person.
I know. I guess he kind of thought he said he liked the vibe of this guy more. So he's like, I know I can just teach you what you need to do. And I think maybe he might have been a bit of a dummy.
Yeah, that's what I was.
So it's kind of
like a, I don't know if this is an offensive term or not, but goon, they used to call them, like hired goons.
Yeah. He pays William to complete this crime. It happens. And then the person who they handed the painting off to was Paul. He was the guy at the other end of the crime, I guess.
Yeah.
So they performed the heist, drive the painting to Paul. Paul takes the painting, drives away, and he's like, pretty much I paid him. We kind of never spoke about it again. After this, the police are investigating, but nothing really happens. So they don't really have any leads. They think it's Paul, but they've literally got no evidence besides just he's done it before. They've got no...
The exact same gallery, one window over, does exactly the same thing.
They
leaves a calling card that's cheeky. Wouldn't you just
knock
go
on the door?
Knock on the door, have a chat with him anyway?
And also they have footage of him casing the place. So Paul's really putting himself in it. So for the weeks before the heist, he's walking around the gallery, just watching, looking at the painting.
Chewing on a toothpick.
Pretty much just
flicking a coin.
Just lighting
Couldn't
the
be
ends.
looking more suspicious.
Honestly, but the police were like, well, there's no crime in like going to a gallery.
Yes, but couldn't you still... He's a suspect.
He's a suspect. Look, he's on the list, but they've got nothing.
Is this like a double jeopardy thing?
I think it's more so that they in order to really arrest him, they want to know that they've got all their ducks in a row.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of going, well, they've got no evidence. They can't arrest me.
But they can take you in for questioning.
Yeah, they don't though. They really don't.
Oh, God.
Not at this point anyway. As the days drag on, Paul's kind of like, well, I'm a bit bored of this, guys.
Yeah, he needs some attention.
So he starts calling the police station.
He does. Yeah, no.
He starts calling.
I know exactly the type of person he is.
Yeah, he's calling the police station and he's like, hey, I've heard this rumor.
Yeah.
And so he starts sending them on leads that don't lead anywhere. He also starts dobbing himself in. This guy's going to be driving around with stuff in his car. And he's like, the police would pull me over and I'd have nothing in my car.
He's that friend who plants like little seeds of drama on the like group chat that you have with all your friends and then invites everyone over for a dinner just to see what would happen.
And just sits there and goes, I had nothing to do with this.
Yes.
He gets contacted by a local newspaper because the reporter is like, well, I've got a report on this scream getting stolen, but there's not really happening. I'm looking for a new story. And Paul goes, yeah, I'll give you an interview. And the interview is like, they're accusing me of stealing the scream, but I didn't do it. They go back to the gallery and he takes photos where the scream once was. Like, it's wild. Like, he's going back and he's like, wasn't me. And they're printing it being like, I guess he didn't do it. Like,
oh my God.
The pressure is mounting. The police are desperate to find the painting. The police put out word on the street that, there might be a reward if, anyone has information that leads to the finding of this painting. Yeah. Paul's being followed everywhere, which means all of his associates are being followed everywhere. So times are tight because criminals aren't being able to criminal, Yeah. They're not being able to do anything.
Which in turn would turn them against Paul because they're like, you're causing all this stuff.
Yeah.
You're putting a big magnifying glass on all of us with all your shenanigans.
Yeah. Come on.
Something's got to change.
There are a few attacks on people around Paul to kind of like get him to fess up. So a few people around him get knife slashed because they're like, tell us where the painting is. And they're like, we'll never tell. And Paul's like, okay, I realize something's not quite right.
Yeah.
Like my family is probably.
Causing a civil war.
Yeah. He's like, my family's probably in jeopardy now. Because at this point, he's got a wife.
And he never wants to take crime home with him.
No, he just doesn't.
No.
It's no crime in the home.
No, too personal.
All right, we need to move this painting on. I was just going to keep it, but now I need to move it. So he brings on one of his, I guess we'll call him an associate. You have helped me in this previous art heist dealing. You'll know what to do. He's like, I'm not a negotiations guy. I'm a steal it guy. I need someone to help me move this painting on and get money for it.
Yeah.
So he brings in this guy who then talks to an art dealer whose name is Einar Irving and says, I've got this painting. Can we sell it? Because this guy was a known art dealer. This art dealer's like, excellent. Love the sound of this. However, I need proof that the painting is around.
Yeah.
Pal takes the frame off the painting, buries it somewhere in the woods, gets the reporter he was talking to take the police to where this frame is, and says to the art dealer, look at Monday's paper, you'll have your proof that I have this painting.
Ooh.
I know. That's as soon as the art dealer saw the frame, he was like, I know you've got the painting. I'll be able to find someone to buy it from you.
Ooh.
He's trying to find a way to make money because at this point, no pay me a ransom type situation.
Yeah.
The gallery said at no point will we pay the ransom because it's just going to make everyone want to steal art because they'll think they get the money. So he's like,
absolutely.
Okay, I can't get a ransom. Here we go. In walks Scotland Yard. At this point, the police are kind of like, what the fuck is going on here? We actually can't do this. But Scotland Yard, and we've mentioned this before, has an arts and antiquities squad. And they call up the police in Oslo and say, hey.
Is Scotland Yard just the police?
It's the police, yeah. It's like the premier detective police force in London. And they're more like the creme de la creme of detectives.
Yeah,
like
the Ben de la creme.
Yeah, the Bend de la Creme. So they kind of go, hey, we can help you get this painting back because we love going undercover.
Yeah.
We love a little bit of dressing up. So we're going to put on our best wigs and we'll be able to get this painting back. There's so many.
Put on our best wigs.
They need to make a movie about this because
I'm surprised they haven't.
It's just
getting out of hand.
So wild. They bring in a guy named Charlie Hill.
Yeah.
And Charlie he loves going undercover.
So Scotland Yard are in full drag, just out trying to find this scream.
Charlie is posing as a representative of the Getty Museum. So if you don't know who the Getty Museum is, they're a museum in California, biggest privately owned gallery. They've got stacks of money behind them.
Yeah. It's not Anne Getty's.
It's not.
It's not babies in flower pots.
It is not, but it is part of the Getty family. You know Gigi Gorgeous? Is dating a Getty and big money.
Yeah, right.
Big money. So that Getty Museum is that family.
Okay.
So,
what a catch, Gigi. Go Gigi.
Go Gigi. This Charlie Hill's going in. He's going to pose as an art director for the Getty Museum and he's going to go in and pretend like he wants to get the painting back in exchange. So he'll pay them, but the offshoot is that the money that he gives will mean that the Getty Gallery gets to show the screen whenever they want. Mm-hmm. So it's weird because it takes the onus of paying the ransom from Oslo and puts it on the Getty Museum.
Yes.
There's a lot of moving parts here. So it means that they can pay the ransom, but it's not coming from like public money. It's coming from a private money. So that's fine.
Yes.
Old Getty goes in, fake Getty, and they set it up. They had to make sure that the Getty Museum actually knew what was happening because they were like, if he calls the Getty Museum, they go, what the fuck are you talking about? Our cover is blown. So they get the Getty Museum on board. It was lucky that they did because Paul actually called the museum and said, do you have this person who works for you?
Good.
He did his due diligence.
Yes, absolutely.
And they were like, yeah, we know of this guy.
That would have been so orcs if they were like, who? And then he's just standing there in like full Nina West drag, just being like,
oh, sorry. It's like, cool, this is a legit guy. I'm going to set up my art dealer and my associate to go and meet with this crazy ostentatious Getty Museum man.
Yeah.
Charlie says, right, let's meet up. Let's meet at the Plaza Hotel. The thing that pissed Charlie off is that no one in Oslo was communicating because the day of the meeting at the Plaza Hotel was also the day of a full-blown police narcotics meeting. So as the art dealer and the associate walk in, they see all these cops and they're like, oh, fuck me. Like, we're about to get done. And he's like, come upstairs. There's nothing going on here. And he's like, you almost blew my cover, you idiots. They have their meeting. They feel like this guy is somewhat legit, but Charlie's like, cool, I'm going to set out all of my stuff. I'm going to go to the bathroom so they can rummage through my stuff and make sure I'm legit.
Mm-hmm.
What they find, though, is this guy has 4 passports. And they're like, what man has 4 passports? So everything else is correct. And this guy's like, I've done it. I've tricked them.
Yeah.
But Paul cottons on and goes, no innocent person has 4 passports. Something's up.
Charlie, which one's Scotland Yard guy?
Charlie.
Yeah.
So Charlie's fucked up a little bit.
Yes. Okay, cool.
But Charlie thinks...
Charlie as Getty. In a hotel room.
Yeah.
Goes to the bathroom so they can rummage through his things and make sure he's legit. Oops, I've left my 4 passports in there, which will probably out me as being undercover copper.
Paul now goes, you're onto me, you dogs. And he goes, all right, let's fuck with them a bit. He gets his associate to call Mr. Getty Charlie. He says, all right, you want the scream? You want to buy it? It's 11:30 at night. You will be getting into a car that's going to arrive at 12 and we'll go get the scream.
Oh.
Old Charlie calls the Oslo cops because obviously they're all watching it. And he goes, do you want me to get in this car? And they're like, absolutely fucking not. That is a recipe for disaster.
Yes.
Charlie says, sure, I'll get in the car. When he goes down, he goes, all right, show me the painting. They're like, oh no, we're not going to just show you the painting in this car. You got to come with us to our house in the woods.
Oh, come on. This is like textbook 101 things you don't do.
Yeah.
It's I've got puppies in the back of my van. Yeah. They're right there, right in the back.
He eventually goes, forget it. I'm not driving into the woods to see this painting. I'll see you later. Like, we can arrange another time, but midnight, not happening. So, and because they said if anyone followed him, the painting would be destroyed. So he says,
but isn't only the frame in the woods?
No, because the painting itself is at Paul's house in the woods.
In the woods. Okay,
So
okay.
He's just
But the frame was like buried somewhere.
else.
Yep.
So he buried the frame to show that he had it.
Yes.
And now because he's realized that it's the police, he's just fucking with them.
Yeah.
I can't imagine if Charlie actually got into the car, he'd ever see that painting.
Yeah.
Because Charlie pulls the idea, like says, no more. Paul's like, oh, fuck. I've lost all ways to get money for this, but I need to end it. This has gone too far.
He's overcomplicated it all for himself.
He really has. He gets his associate to then meet with the original art dealer. So this is not the Getty guy. This is the OG art dealer. Let's organize just a handoff, with Charlie, not in the middle of the night. We'll meet at a cafe. We'll organize the money. They can have the masterpiece. Like, I've got to cut ties with it because he kind of just wanted to keep it for himself.
Yeah.
But he's gotten too many people involved at this point.
It's getting a bit too complicated. Yeah. Too many people are tied in.
Yeah. He just realizes it's all going wrong.
Yeah.
So he organizes for Mr. Getty, the art dealer, and his associate to meet at the cafe. Paul gives the piece of art to his associate and the art dealer. They're in cahoots together.
Yes.
They take the painting to another location.
Okay.
So it's not got anything to do with Paul. Then
it's not at the woods anymore.
It's not at the woods.
Yeah.
It's in a third location.
Yeah.
They then take Mr. Getty, Charlie Getty, to the cafe and they say, all right, we've got the painting in a location.
Yep.
You give us the money, you can have the painting. And somehow in this meeting, and I don't understand how this happened, but they say to him, all right, you can go and see the painting and get it and then give us the money.
Wait. I'm going to have a nosebleed.
I know. So he says,
so complex.
I know. It's so fucking weird because they go, all right, you can have the painting. Go and find it. As soon as you see it, give us the money. Which makes no sense. Because if you know something's up and if you give him the money, give him the painting, you're never seeing that money.
No, absolutely not.
And I feel like maybe Paul knew that and he was like, all right, I've just got to get rid of it. It
defeats the whole point of having a ransom.
Yeah. So essentially
if you kidnap someone's kid, you don't give them the kid back and then be like, all right, now give me the money.
Transfer me the money. You got Oscar?
You've got your kid back.
You got your kid
Mel
back.
Gibson.
You got Oscar? Payments are instant.
He's done it the wrong way. So
I think at this point, Pal kind of knew that the jig was up. He kind of knew he was never getting...
The jig is up.
The jig is up. Where does that come from, I wonder?
I don't know, but I feel like we've talked about it before.
We love it. The jig is up.
I'm like, what's a jig?
What's a jig?
Anyway.
And why is it up? As soon as Charlie gets his hands on this painting, the police swoop in and they've got the masterpiece.
Yeah.
Paul realizes, so he lets them go off and do their thing. He realizes as soon as he gives that painting away,
he's not getting any money.
He's fucked up. Charlie says, oh yeah, because at this point he's got the painting, but the criminals don't know that he's, I guess, a copper. So that he's like, all right, I've got the painting. I'll give you the money. Meet me here.
Yeah.
And so the associate and the art dealer meet him there.
Yeah.
And the police just go in and arrest them.
Yeah.
Paul's like, cool. So my associates have kind of disappeared. They've been arrested by the police.
Yes.
I no longer have the scream.
Yes.
I'm going on the run.
Okay.
So he disappears. Like he tries to disappear, but he's got his wife. He's got a baby that's just arrived. He's kind of trying to be a family man.
Yeah.
And he has not told his...
put a spanner in the works here, hasn't he?
Yeah, and honestly, he hasn't told his wife anything, so it's not like he's like, babes, I've got to disappear for a while. I've really fucked up. He's just like, everything's fine. Nothing's going wrong here. He just kind of tries to live his life, and the police are obviously questioning his associates and being like, what information can you give us? They don't immediately arrest him.
I've got a question.
Go for it.
Do the police know by now that Charlie was an undercover
Yeah, so
cop?
they
Okay.
know. So they've always known Charlie's an undercover cop.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Charlie has always been on the copper's side.
Okay.
But they don't immediately arrest Paul because they technically don't have any evidence. At this point, At this,
we're gonna need a flow chart or a whiteboard behind
Just,
us
like,
to like
connect the dots.
I'm just picturing like the listeners being like, wait a
second. So who and what? They have arrested Paul's associates.
Yes.
The cops have the painting.
Mm-hmm.
There is no money. Paul's on the run. Paul's living his life. He's trying to stay low key.
Living his life on Dutch.
He's living his life on Dutch.
Yeah.
He is pretty sure they can't arrest him because they have no evidence that he's done this.
Continue. What? They were there.
But he wasn't there. His associates were there. They have not seen him at all at this point.
Okay, the goons were there.
The goons were there.
The
goons. So they've not seen Paul at any point. The police have not.
Does anyone have a Panadol extra? Far out.
Who knows who?
Yeah.
So Paul's like, cool, they don't have anything on me, but I'm going to carry a gun on me because I reckon something's going to go down.
Yeah.
As you do. So he goes just to put some gas in his car and the police siege on him at this petrol station and they arrest him, but they don't arrest him for the heist. They arrest him for having a loaded gun on him. Also, weirdly enough, this is just an odd little fact. He had his baby with him at the gas station. So he took because he's like, I'm just going to take my baby with me. And so he had his baby on him. So when the police arrested him, they threw him to the ground, but they like yanked the baby out of his hands.
Oh.
And I was like, that's pretty.
He should have given the baby a gun.
Baby gun.
Baby's got a gun. One of those little like 1960s pistols that are like that big.
He's like, matches my outfit. Bing, bing. Got him and they start questioning him. They're like, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. I don't know how they went from arresting him on a gun charge to putting him on trial for this heist.
They probably just needed him in.
I think so. Because
For something. So there's probably like some kind of loophole there where then you can start questioning about whatever you want. But you've got him in, he's under arrest, he's under custody for something, then you can loop other things into it.
I think that's what's happened because at this point, they then put Paul on trial for the heist.
Yeah.
So he goes on trial and he's pretty sure that he's going to get acquitted for this heist because he's like, they've got no evidence.
Mm-hmm.
But the coppers are like, mate, you're an egotistical maniac.
Yes.
Paul had started talking from the first time he was behind bars about this heist.
Yeah.
So other inmates that he was in with
were spilling the beans.
They're spilling the tea. They said, he's been talking about planning this heist for ages, guys.
Yeah.
We've got it. Honestly, when you examine the evidence they do have against Paul himself, it's all pretty circumstantial. Like it's kind of like, well, we think you were involved this way. We think you're involved this way. So the associate who's been running around doing all these negotiations with this art dealer, with Mr. Getty.
Yes.
He gets called onto the stand.
Yeah.
He was the one who was arrested in the cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, they ask him like, is all of this, everything, all of the stuff we've been saying, is it true? And all this guy had to say is, no, it's not. And it would probably all have disappeared. But instead he says, I don't dare to answer that.
Drama queen.
Drama. These criminals are so dramatic.
Yeah, they really are.
What that does is put a lot more credibility on the case against Paul.
Yes.
And so pretty much all of the jurors go, well, he must have done it. If that guy hadn't have kind of snitched on him in a roundabout way, Paul might have gotten away with this.
But he also did it in a way without him saying yes.
Yeah. So he can't.
I don't dare.
He had
holding a cigarette.
Yeah. It helps convict Paul of this crime. And he was sentenced to 6 years and 3 months in jail, which is...
Oh, he didn't get to see his baby
He didn't get to
grow up.
Yeah, I know.
From his childhood.
I know. I mean...
Well, the baby would have visited.
With his tiny guns.
With his tiny guns.
Hey, Papa. I'm doing you proud.
I'm in baby prison.
It's just called a cot. So when the sentence is put down in the courtroom, Paul's just like, he couldn't contain himself. He just starts like having a punch on with police in the courtroom.
Oh, he went rogue. Ballistic.
He went rogue.
Oh, Paul. You brought it all on yourself,
mate. You brought it all on yourself. It was actually one of the longest sentences ever given for a theft in Norway.
I think their prisons are like low-key kind of nice as well. I'm pretty sure I've seen a documentary about a or somewhere over there, maybe like Sweden or
Scandi
somewhere.
type.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a resort.
I kind of imagine they're all about like reform
They're
and
like
stuff.
painting
Yes,
and
I
playing
imagine.
video games, and it's like all open air.
Yeah, I imagine it's
They're like free range prisoners.
his associate doesn't get arrested at all. No conviction charges have ever been brought against him, which makes me think he really snitched to the police and gave him all the info so they could convict Paul. Because the reality was the cops wanted Paul more than anyone else because he was taunting them so badly.
Yeah, he was being mean, nasty.
Being mean and nasty. The one thing that Paul says about this whole saga, which is, it kind of really shows the ego behind him. He said is, no one else got sentenced for this crime, so no one else gets the credit for it. It's my story.
Yeah, I bet he's loving the attention.
He's given interviews left, right, and centre.
Is there
now.
like a documentary or something
There's
about this?
There's a documentary about it. There's one on ABC called The Man Who Stole the Scream.
Yes.
Which outlines it, and you can see him talking about. He's quite charming at the start, and then you're like,
I imagine him to be charming.
yeah, and then he's always smoking a ciggy. He really loves that he's getting attention for his, because it's really the reason why he did it in the first place.
Yeah.
He didn't do it for the money. He did it for the notoriety.
Yeah.
And
the cheekiness of it all, and the like kind of like fuck the police.
Yeah.
Like
I'm gonna be a little bit of a rat bag.
Yeah.
And he ended up becoming a painter.
Oh, isn't that
Full
ironic?
circle.
Don't you think?
Like 10,000 spoons.
All you need's a knife.
You can see the Scream because they got it back. It's still in Oslo. But the interesting thing is one of the privately owned versions since the heist, one of the privately owned versions went to auction and sold for a whopping $120 million.
Wackadoo.
And that is the story of the Scream.
So all the Screams are safe currently?
Currently, Screams are safe.
Scream 1, 2, 3, 4.
What are your thoughts? What are your feelings?
Loved it. Got super complicated, but I was really proud of myself for following along. Because usually like sometimes when things get a bit too over complex, I start to like phase out a little bit. My eyes kind of go in different directions and I just start drooling.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was entertaining.
I feel like
I felt like I was watching a movie.
I think they should make it into a movie.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that really got Paul was he got too many people involved who wanted to have an outcome.
Absolutely.
If he could have just kept it. If he had just kept it, I don't know what would have happened. He probably would have slipped up at some point.
Yeah.
But he probably could have got away with it for a lot longer.
I see like Tom Hardy in there.
Yeah.
Like hooligan vibe.
Who would play her?
Kind of like a dramedy or like a really like British comedy, but set in like a Simon Pegg, like a Shaun of the Dead kind of vibe movie.
I see that.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody in Hollywood.
Yes.
Can you please,
Mr. Hollywood,
if you're listening, can you please organize a movie script that's somewhat funny?
Yeah.
Like a little bit of a camp vibe.
You could call it Scream Stealer. Do your best scream face from the painting.
Ooh.
Okay, shy little. Mine is like.
Oh, that's better.
Yours is like.
Georgeous, very Georgeous.
Yeah. Yours is like the Hello Kitty version. of the
Yeah,
scream.
mine's the cute version. Yours is the real version.
Yeah. All right, that was great.
That was a great episode.
Yeah.
Do all the things. Follow us, review us, like us. You know where to find us.
Watch the Man Who Stole the Scream on, I think, ABC.
ABC. And there's other docos out there about it. And hopefully Hollywood will make a film in the next 2 years.
Holy weird, am I right?
Oh, what's going on over there?
Jeez.
Goodbye.
Bye.